What happens if the place you believe you already know is completely different from the one you actually discover? Los Angeles. Long before we go there, we see it in movies. We believe we are familiar with the broad beaches, the bright signs, the endless highways, and the seemingly perpetual sun. In actuality, the city feels foreign and unusual when you first travel through its streets. In this episode, I take you on a 21-day solo tour across Los Angeles, a place I've seen countless times on screens but have never actually visited. And nothing turned out the way I had anticipated. I was a seasoned traveler who traveled to South America, Europe, Asia, and other countries. I believed I could make a reasonable guess as to what LA would be like. Perhaps like Sydney, but with more billboards. Perhaps less refined than Dubai. Perhaps like Rio without the rough edges. My guess was incorrect. LA is a world within itself. Large and spread out and warm. On the surface, it seems calm, but it's full of mysteries. I take you on a tour of the actual city in this episode. The food. The sounds. The endless streets. Small surprises. Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, and a visit to a movie studio that brought me back to my childhood. After that, it's a 3-day flight north to San Francisco, where there's a guided tour and time to take in the city, which is like LA's cool older relative. This is the story if you've ever wondered what it's like to walk around Los Angeles by yourself for the first time, even if you've been all over the world. And believe me, LA is a diverse city. Let's get to know it. Long before I arrived, Los Angeles had been on my mind. Since I was a kid, I had seen it in movies and television shows. I've always thought I understood it. However, I quickly realized something when I stepped outside on my first day. It is not the same as seeing a place in person, even if you are familiar with it on a screen. I arrived as a seasoned traveler. I had wandered through the back alleyways of Paris, traversed the bustle of Tokyo, lounged on Rio's beaches, and explored historic European capitals. However, LA has a distinct vibe. It was broad. It was roomy. Individuals went at their own speed. Walking felt like my own private way across the city, even though cars dominated the streets. I would like to give some background information before discussing my trip. In 1781, there were just 44 people living in LA, 11 families. At the time, the area was a part of Spain. It later joined Mexico. It then joined the United States in 1847. It was a farming area for a very long time. Then, in the early 1900s, the film business began. Clear skies, warm days, and consistent light were all ideal for filming. Hollywood expanded quickly. The world began to see Los Angeles as a place where dreams came true. My first few days were slow. I spent hours walking. Walkers are not always welcome in Los Angeles, but that made every quiet moment seem like a tiny victory. I stayed near Hollywood Boulevard at an inexpensive hotel. Although it wasn't luxurious, it was close to a lot of things I wanted to see. I walked to the Hollywood Walk of Fame after that. The stars were endless on the ground. I was familiar with a few names, but I didn't know some. Small shops, street performers, and the gentle hum of tourists taking pictures were all there. I then went to the Chinese Theater. Standing in front of it felt strange because I had seen it in so many movies. I smiled at the footprints and handprints in the cement. Some of the older actors were quite small. In certain areas, a basic snack could cost up to $20, but that's LA. In the tourist areas, it's large, colorful, and pricey. Distance is one thing about walking in Los Angeles. You can walk all day and see a lot of places in some cities, but LA is spread out. It's not like Paris or London. Wide streets, lengthy blocks, and the need for planning made it feel more like areas of cities in Australia. I used taxis when I wanted to travel farther. It could cost $15 to $25 to take a ride through a few areas. A longer ride can cost up to $40. However, it allowed me to see more and save time. I went to lots of places on day trips. I walked down Santa Monica Beach one day. The ocean seemed endless. The air was relaxing, and the beach was soft. It was a little bit like Bondi Beach or Copacabana Beach, but broader. There were rides and small food vendors at the Santa Monica Pier. Along the sidewalk, many people skated or rode bikes. I visited Griffith Observatory on another day. The hill climb would have taken a long time, so I got a taxi there. From the top of the hill, the view was spectacular. The city resembled an enormous map. From so far away, you could see the small downtown. The observatory was free to visit, which seemed strange in a city where costs are usually high. The theme parks were a highlight. I went to Disneyland for a full day. The cost of a taxi from Hollywood was about $50. Entrance was $160. Expensive, however, it's Disneyland. I went on both new and classic rides. It was as if I had entered a memory I hadn't previously had. Knott's Berry Farm was the plan for the following day trip. This park cost about $100 for entry and included more exciting rides. The combination of speedy roller coasters and old Western themes appeals to me. It felt more laid back and rural than Disneyland. I also went on a tour of a movie theater for a day. Warner Brothers was my choice. About $70 was the cost of the tour. We were taken through sound stages and sets by a shuttle. I saw fake streets, movie props, and even the cafe from a popular television show. The guide told us many stories, so hearing about the insider secrets of movie magic was intriguing. I flew to San Francisco as a side trip after 2 weeks of seeing Los Angeles. I paid about $150 for a round-trip flight. The flight took a bit more than an hour. A tiny hotel close to Fisherman's Wharf was where I stayed. Despite the fact that cars dominated the streets, walking felt like my own private way around the city. With regard to both weather and style, San Francisco was cooler than Los Angeles. The streets were small, the hills were steep, and it usually had fog in the morning. It had an air of age, small size, and charm. For 3 days, I joined guided tours. One took us across the Golden Gate Bridge. Another walked us through Chinatown. I rode a cable car, which felt like stepping into the past. I paid nearly $70 for a guided city trip. It was excellent. The tour guide told tales of the city's multiple stages of construction, earthquakes, and the gold rush. It was the ideal break from LA's vast atmosphere. I spent the last few days back in Los Angeles exploring more neighborhood areas. The food smelled rich and spicy as I walked through Koreatown. I spent a while at Echo Park, where people were paddling little boats on a quiet lake. I went to the Getty Center, which had fantastic vistas and free admission. I also looked at day trips that people often make from Los Angeles. Some go by car or tour bus to San Diego, which is about 2 hours south. For a day trip, tours typically cost between $100 and $150. Some travel to Palm Springs or Santa Barbara. The trip from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara is around 150 kilometers. The trip from Sacramento to Palm Springs is almost 180 kilometers. The cost for tours is $120 to $180. Although I didn't go on those trips this time, I made notes for another trip. I strolled along Sunset Boulevard on my last night. The neon lights were glowing. Automobiles passed by. From tiny bars, music drifted out. I thought about all the places I had visited over my life. Los Angeles wasn't the most scenic, not the easiest, not the most affordable. However, it possessed a unique quality that made every day feel distinct, a mixture of grit and dream. It didn't make a lot of effort. It simply existed and you managed to explore it on your own. I knew I had just seen a little of the city when I left, but there was a lot of life in that piece. For this trip, that was enough. That was my first in-person experience with Los Angeles. A city of sunshine, space, street art, dreams of movies, and leisurely strolls that test your feet while delighting your heart. I realized that LA fails to reveal itself all at once. You must gradually explore it. You must allow it to take you by surprise. The ideal contrast was provided by the detour to San Francisco. From warm to cool, broad to steep, from bold to smooth, every location offered me something unique. This episode should help you plan your own journey, or at the very least, give you the impression that you were there with me. I appreciate you listening. There will be more episodes of my travels soon.